This video is about Carménère from Chile's Central Valley. Like out of a sci-fi story, this red varietal came back from extinction in the 1990s. Hang out with us to learn more how this Bordeaux varietal came back to life. We are Teakwood Tavern Hospitality, educating minds and palates on spirit, wine, and food. Carménère is one of the original Bordeaux varietals. However, it was used more as a blending grape. When Phylloxera devastated Bordeaux in 1869, Carménère wasn't really replanted. This was for a number of reasons. First, it's just not a very easy grape to grow. Second, other Bordeaux varietals like Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, they brought in a lot more money. And third, it didn't really graft well to American rootstock, which was the solution for making vines Phylloxera proof. So by the mid-1900s, everyone just assumed it was extinct. However, immigrants in the mid-1800s, going from France to Chile, took what they thought was a bunch of Merlot with them. They started planting it, cultivating it, and over time noticed that some of these vines ripened a little faster than the other Merlot, and some of the leaves turned a bright red color. So by 1994, botanists started looking into this, and it took a few years for them to realize, oh wait, this is actually the long-lost Carménère. In 1998, it was officially recognized as a variety once again in Chile. Carménère comes from a super cool family. It has the half-siblings, Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot, and they all share the same awesome parent, Cabernet Franc, except Carménère is actually one step cooler because Cabernet Franc is its great-great-grandparent on the other side as well, so there's a lot of similarities between those two wines, but all amazing Bordeaux varietals there. Carménère is actually one of the easier red varieties to identify. It has very distinct red fruit and peppery notes. You'll find flavors of raspberry and plum, maybe like bitter chocolate, and then with all types of pepper. It actually has a very high amount of pyrazines, which is an aromatic compound that causes those herbaceous notes like black pepper, green bell pepper, and eucalyptus. It usually comes in at a medium to medium plus for both its acid and tannin. They're usually pretty boozy too, coming in the 14 to 15%, and then kind of a medium plus body as well. They're also wonderful because you can find well-made Carménères for under $20 and really good Carménères still in the under $50 price point. Carménère is an extremely food-friendly wine with its medium plus acidity and many herbaceous flavors. The acidity will allow you to pair it with acidic sauces as well as rich creamy sauces, so it goes great with chimichurri. And then the herbaceous notes go great with meat, especially lamb. Those pepper notes will just really enhance the flavor of your herbs and vegetables as well. So next time you need to bring a wine to a friend's house for dinner, Carménère would be a very fun choice. Carménère likes to take its time and ripen slowly and enjoys a long summer to really fully mature as it turns into very small, dark, concentrated grapes. Another fun fact about Carménère is the leaves actually turn red and orange colors with the oncoming of fall. Just a very beautiful vineyard to look at. Chile uses a DO classification system to define its many regions, subregions, and zones. When naming a varietal on the label itself, there must be at least 85% of that particular grape. Some Chilean producers will also add in more information about the actual terrain. You might see coastal, mid-mountain range, or Andes following the DO name. which will just give you some idea of the elevation and soil types you might expect to see. Chileans also will sometimes use other terms like Reserva, Gran Reserva, Superior. However, there's really no standard around these terms, and they're kind of just winery specific. Vineyards were first planted in Chile in the 16th century by the Spanish. However, after gaining their independence in 1810, Chile actually remained very closely bonded with France. At that time, the mining was just taking off there, and with that, a lot of money coming into that country, imports, exports, and with that came a taste for fine wine. By the mid-1800s, there was enough lavish estates around Santiago to merit the nickname, the Bordeaux of South America. The Central Valley is responsible for the majority of Chile's Carménère, as well as 83% of all wine production in Chile. There's actually 4 subregions you might see as well, Maipo and Repel Valley. It's nestled between the Andes Mountains and then the coastal mountain range, stretching 250 miles north-south along the very thin country. It's actually at the same latitude as Mendoza, Argentina, which is just over on the other side of the Andes Mountains, and just has perfect temperate climate for wine growing. The Maipo Valley is really the original wine growing region in Chile, just based on the fact that it's right outside Santiago. They also grow a lot of great white wine, including Chardonnay, and we get a good amount of their wines here imported into the US, so you can find things at all price ranges. On the label you might also see Alto Maipo, which specifies an elevation of at least 1,300 feet. These are some of Chile's most prized wines, especially the Cabernet Sauvignons. Colchagua Valley has gained a great deal of recognition for its red wines since the late 1990s. It actually is responsible for half of all the Carménère grapes grown in Chile. Colchagua is a valley within the Repel Valley, which is within the Central Valley. They love naming everything after their valleys there. And it's at the southernmost tip of the Repel Valley, giving it a very nice, temperate Mediterranean climate. And there's also a perfect soil makeup of clay and silt lunes. As you head up into the mountains, you might find a little more granite, which gives the wine a very nice minerality to it. I'm joined by my lovely husband John to walk through a tasting of this 2018 Casa Silva 100% Carménère from the Colchagua Valley, Andes designation.
So this wine just explodes aromatics on the nose, getting green bell pepper and also both red and black fruits like some strawberry and black plum.
Man, on the mouth, there's just so much black pepper and some spicy notes, like some jalapeno. I feel like I get some asparagus too, and kind of the aftertaste that lingers is some wet wool.
A lot going on in the mouth. When you think about acidity and tannins, both of these are medium plus, which on my upper gums, I can just feel that tannin puckering them up, yet at the same time, a lot of saliva forming. That just tells you that there is some really strong acid as well. So fun, different things going on in my mouth right now.
For sure. This is just a hot wine. Like, there is definitely some alcohol there. From looking at the label, I know it's 14.5%, but it is big. And along with that, it really adds to, the mouthfeel, the body. I would give that like a medium plus.
So the finish here is 22 seconds, which based on the price point of this bottle being $19, really is a good finish. It's not short, it doesn't just fall to the wayside, it's also not long and extravagant, but at $19, that's kind of what you're hoping for, is to hit that, at least 20-second range. But what's really interesting here with the finish is this raisiny flavor that I'm getting at the end, and you wouldn't expect that with a wine of this youth, a 2018. So something tells me there's a little bit of like deliberate oxidation done by the winemaker to bring in a little bit of tertiary flavors early on, which adds honestly a nice complexity to this wine.
Yeah, I definitely get that. And you know, with those raisiny notes, along with the just herbaceous boldness of this, you know, like eucalyptus. I would really pair this with, you know, some lamb, but along with that, like a raisiny, like mint chutney. That would just go beautifully. Overall, I mean, for this price point of $19, I think this wine is a steal. Next time you're heading to a dinner party and need something, yeah, to just surprise everyone with, this would be it. I'm joined by my amazing husband, John, to go through a tasting of this 2017 Perez Cruz estate bottled Carménère. It's actually only 93% Carménère and 7% Cabernet Sauvignon, which is still well above the threshold of 85% for DOs in Chile to put a certain varietal on the label. It's from the Maipo Valley and has an Andes designation, so you know there's some good elevation going on.
Before we get into the tasting notes, I want to go back to something that Shen mentioned earlier in the video, which is certain terms that really do mean something on the label. And here we see estate bottled, and that helps the consumer know what they're purchasing. There's other terms like reserve and grand reserva, like Shen said, that aren't really legally binding, but estate bottled is. So this tells us that everything has to fit within that realm. When Shen mentioned the Maipo Valley and the Andes, that means that the grape growing, so the vineyards, and the production had to happen within both of those to be classified as estate bottled. So it really tells you that this bottle is happening, everything is happening up in the Andes Mountains within the Maipo Valley.
Wow, and this just has so many different clusters on the nose I'm getting. I mean, there's some fruit, like blackberry, you know, herbaceous notes, like asparagus, but I'm also really getting a lot of oak on the nose. Perhaps, yeah, some cinnamon, cedar as well.
For me, what really stands out in this wine when it comes to flavor profiles is the tertiary flavors. I mean, there is earth, tar, and leather, and I wouldn't expect that with the 2017. So I'm thinking that the winemaker did some deliberate oxidation, which is great because it really allows the wine to kind of come through a little bit earlier. There's not a fault here. There's nothing that I'm tasting that is off. It's just a little bit interesting to have those flavors come in so early. Nonetheless, there's still plenty of fruit here. Black fruits like blueberry and black plum are still there, plenty with the tertiary flavors. So there's a lot of fun flavors that happen with this wine.
And the acid is, I mean, solid. I give it a medium plus, but I just feel my mouth, you know, puckering up. But also very well balanced by the tannins, which I'd also give a medium plus, but just kind of coat my mouth with a bitter, like vegetal, very pleasant balance there.
This wine comes in at 14% ABV, and thinking about that aligned with the acidity and the tannin that Shen just mentioned, tells us that this is like a medium-bodied wine, which is the kind of wines that we generally lean towards. And so it's great to be able to have something that has this variety of flavors and aromas, some good acid, it's still some tannin, but it's medium-bodied, which means at the end of the day, you can drink this without food, but it also is going to go really great with food.
Has a very pleasant finish. Still comes in medium at a 22nd, so nothing, you know, outstanding. But for $24, I'm very impressed by, for, you know, those 20 seconds that it lasts. It's just full of strong, beautiful flavors.
When it comes to pairing this wine with food, I would want to accentuate the tertiary flavors that are really, you know, jumping out of the glass here. So that earth and the tar and leather think about things like mushrooms that have that earthy flavor, or some like, you know, darker greens that also have that earthiness to them. I think this would be a wonderful wine with something like a chicken liver mousse. I think that would just be wonderful. For me, that's the kind of thing where I could just sit down and devour both of these together. That would probably be my ideal pairing. But again, showcasing really the earthiness here. This is just a fun wine that if you wanted to introduce people to some tertiary flavors without having to age a wine for, you know, a decade or so, I'd happily bring this along. And at this price point, there's still a lot of fun things going on. It's a good wine.
If you want to learn more about the bold, herbaceous Carménère, check out our website, tequitavern.com, and we have a whole article going far more in depth on this French-turned Chilean varietal. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to our channel, Tequit Tavern. If you want to see more videos like this one, please click here.